got big time problems with that motor, buddy. Hey, just between you and me, the idea is to avoid the other cars. Congratulations! You just set the sport back 30 years with that move. That move will put you in the Hall of Shame. You keep doing stuff like that and we're going to lose our sponsor. Looks like that's it for us today. Now I know why you got canned by your old team. It's over. We can't fix that damage. Looks like your car is toast. You'll need a tow back to pit lane. Press and hold your reset button and we'll come and get you.
Welcome race fans to Pit Stop TV. We're live to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch tonight. Emerson Ardon and Trey Shuttlesworth with me in the booth. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and this is Pit Stop TV's live coverage of the SRCA Pro F2000 series at Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve. We join you tonight from the virtual Montreal, Canada for races 13 and 14 of 15 in SRCA's Pro F2000 Championship. First opened in 1978 for Formula 1 and Grand Prix action. I just said Formula 1 and Grand Prix. Formula 1 Grand Prix action, there we go. This 14-turn circuit combines high-speed straightaways with slow technical chicanes, making for ample passing opportunities over 2.71 miles of tarmac. The circuit is owned by the city of Montreal and sits on an island next to the city center of Montreal and has hosted a diverse set of series such as NASCAR Xfinity Series, the Champ Car World Series, and Grand Am Sports Car action in addition to Formula 1. Tonight we have two 12-lap features modeling the races that we've seen the last couple of weeks in the SRCA. We had Iowa for a couple of features. I even forget how long those races were. Man, it's been a night, I will say, Emerson. You guys have been here with me. You know I've been thrashing to fix an audio issue that plagued us. If you tuned in a couple of nights ago for the Lucky Dog Sim Racing League at Spa, you know there was an audio issue that set us back a little bit. Had the same issue tonight, so we're just working through all kinds of gremlins, Emerson, and I'm just happy you guys are here.
Yeah, likewise, we appreciate you so much for sticking through. I know it's frustrating, but we stick it out. We still bring on some sort of broadcast for these viewers who deserve to see some great racing here. And here at Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve, it's going to be a blast tonight. Daniel Falkingham on the pole at the moment. There's still some time remaining for people to come around and finish laps. And coming off of a doubleheader sweep 2 Thursdays ago, should be a blast starting from the pole to try to see if he can carry that momentum right on.
It's a big difference from what we saw at Iowa Speedway here at Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve here in the virtual Montreal, Canada. We have about, I believe it's 14 turns here, a lot of high-speed straightaways, which is, it's going to make it easy for guys to stay in the slipstream, I think, as opposed to other types of road courses. So it'll be similar to Iowa in some ways, where I think you'll see pretty tight packs. But no, it's going to be pretty fun action here tonight at Speedway. A lot of deep braking zones should make for a lot of good overtaking opportunities.
Absolutely. This place, we were talking about it while I was sorting all that out and trying to get things rolling here. There's a lot of chicanes here that really set you up for a lot of really good opportunities. I think realistically, every corner aside from the hairpin, it technically could be a chicane. I guess turn 2 Virage Senna would constitute as kind of a sweeper, but then again, a chicane that just set this place up for some really interesting racing. We do want to go down our starting grid before we get too far with things, so I'll go ahead and pull that up for everybody. And starting on pole, you mentioned Emerson, Daniel Falkingham, hot off of 2 wins not so long ago. Aldous Puticlis will be rounding out the first row, starting to his outside. Then it's going to be Scott McIntyre and John Morgan in row 2. Then it's Russ Addy and Cole Freilich, Victor Valley, Ian Wilson, and let's see, got Mark Bredbender and Harrison Chandler rounding out your top 10.
Yep. In row 6, we'll have Elijah Gracia, Tyler Langenberg, and in row 7, Tom Mercier's Justin Ford. Looking like a grid start for these fellas. Should be a fun one.
About ready to go live here. We're going to have a standing start on the grid, and the action normally here in turns 1 and 2 here at Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve is absolutely enthralling, absolutely exciting. A lot of opportunity to gain a lot of spots here because we have a pretty deep braking zone, even if it's pretty short straightaway. Lights are on.
Green, green, green.
Lights are on. Cars are off and away. We just heard the command to go green from the iRacing spotter. And these guys are off and at it into turn 1. You see everybody light up the rear tires and get going into 1. Aldous Puticlis, an early lead over Falkingham and McIntyre. He's going to walk away the leader out of turn 2. McIntyre, Falkingham dead even out of the corner. And they're going to race down to turn 3.
All right, it looks like McIntyre's able to clear Falkingham. Falkingham, he started on pole, and oh, he's loose back there coming through turn number 4. Falkingham just trying to keep some momentum up. He's got a big group of cars right behind him, or 3 cars right behind him, ready to pounce on any other mistake Falkingham decides to make.
Top
Whoa.
2, pretty sizable gap. Almost 3 wide there through, I believe that 6 and 7, something around there. We're 3 wide as we head into, oh, lots of contact.
Lots of contact here. Cole Freilich in the middle of it. Of course, Cole, one of our own, one of our usual commentators, but he's been racing lately in the SRCA, bringing Emerson into the booth, and usually Chris Nunn. But this week, Chris Nunn has some issues. Wish him the best luck. Hope everything is okay. Glad to have Trey Shuttlesworth filling in. Tyler Langenberg, we're used to saying that name on Tuesday nights. He has made his move over into the SRCA. This is his first event, and he is all over Cole Freilich. He's going to cross him up, and he's going to get that position maybe out of turn. Well, I guess that was a hairpin action. These guys have already rounded almost an entire lap. Now down that long straightaway all the way from the hairpin to the final couple of corners, that last chicane.
Yeah, Casino Straight provides a great opportunity down here into the chicane that leads to the Wall of Champions. You see Langenberg, speaking about making his move, he made a move on Cole Freilich that was pretty nice to the hairpin. Looks like actually Freilich heading into the pit lane.
Not sure if these guys have quick repairs in the series, but if I'd have to guess, he probably has some suspension damage on his Pro Master machine there. So he's going to head down pit road, and he's going to drop from the mid-pack all the way down to... I believe he'll fall behind Elijah Gracia. He will, so he'll be dead last in P14 here. He's going to come back out of pit road, take a fast repair. Oh, no, he has not come to his pit stall yet. My apologies.
So he stops there, gets the fast repair, and he will be off and away here shortly. Definitely not a good first lap out of Cole. I'm sorry to cut you off there, Trey. Cole apparently is citing one driver of the number 06 as possibly the center of his woes, and I do think I saw Victor Valley involved in some of that contact the lap prior. He's now all over John Morgan. Definitely interesting developments here that first lap of racing.
What else is developing is look at the top of the scoring pylon. Aldous Puticlis, Scott McIntyre. Do we ever say those two names in 2 separate sentences? My goodness, they can't keep away from each other. And how about duking it out for the race lead? Puticlis has the advantage right now, but down to Casino Straight is going to be a great slipstream and overtaking opportunity if McIntyre can close that gap.
He's about 0.8 of a second back according to timing and scoring, so he might have a struggle here as we head into the last game. But, you know, he's staying within that slipstream, and that's all you need in these low-powered cars here. Also worth noting that Daniel Falkingham dropped off from his pole position start, but he's staying in tow with his leader here. So it looks like we have a 3-dog fight, and we still have 10 laps back.
McIntyre all over, well, will be all over Puticlis if he makes a mistake. Right now, a couple of tenths back, about a half a second across the line. And granted, that half second is going to look like quite a bit, even though these guys are realistically nose to tail pretty much. If Puticlis slips up whatsoever, McIntyre will be there and will try and make his move. That said, McIntyre can't slip up, or he has Daniel Falkingham not too far behind, a little further back, probably 1.5 times the gap from Butticlist to McIntyre. So watching on board from the driver of the number 16, these two, of course, as Emerson alluded to, have tons of history, especially in recent weeks, going back to several road courses usually. They tend to stay away from each other on the ovals, but the road courses especially, these guys have always been at it, it seems like. They're two of the best. Unfortunately, Harley Lewis won't be joining us for the rest of the season. I think he is the other driver to slide into the best 3 drivers we have in this series on a road course. So right now, as they head down to the hairpin, then the Casino Straight, they are not so far apart. They're going to be battling for the race win more than likely, but they do still have 9 laps to go. Even after this one, there's not a whole lot of racing left in this first race, but then they have to do it all over again for a second event on the night.
Right. What I think makes this special is that it is, such a short event that the intensity is going to be picking up quite quickly here. You can see the gap is continuing to close. They're heading to just under half a second now between Butticlist and McIntyre. One quick note, about 1 lap to go, Justin Ford took a spin through turn number 2. He was able to keep it going, no contact. But you just hate to see it, hate for that to be heard, because very similar to what was happening at Lime Rock Park a couple weeks back. But still, these top 3, they are obviously class and field, kind of walking away. What is it, 5 seconds between Falkingham and Addy? It is quite the show up here.
So while Falkingham puts on the pressure here for P2, and these guys are pretty much locked up for a podium as long as they don't get into any altercations there with their vehicles. There's some close battles happening behind them right now. So we have Tom Merce here, and he's about 1.5 seconds off of Ian Wilson there, but he's the hard charger of the night so far. He started 13th, and he's already up to P8. Still has a lot of time to get back up there. Otherwise, yeah, we've settled into quite the rhythm here, even if we're in a pretty sprint. It's a sprint formatted race, is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely, these are sprint races. It's to double up on some events. Obviously, we're running two races in one. So kind of double points on an evening, literally. It gives these guys an opportunity to to wrap this season up quicker. There we go. Wrap this season up just a little bit quicker and move on to the new Pro Mazda that just hit the service last week. It's really going to be interesting to see these guys make that transition, because for every season so far in the SRCA Pro F2000 series, it's been the Pro F2000, these cars. And these cars have kind of fallen by the wayside. They've ended up not the current Pro Mazda that we've got on the service, but we do have, wow, Falkingham was so sideways there out of the corner, and he's all over McIntyre, who's all over Butticlist. These 3 drivers not shying away from each other. McIntyre makes a move to the inside for turn 1, almost makes contact with the left rear of Butticlist. Now shoots back up underneath him, sticks his nose to the inside of Butticlist, has to back out as the 666 gets back on the power, down to turn 3, the 666 leading the way still, but McIntyre, the 16, all over him.
Yeah, just another note about the raceability of Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve. Elijah Gracia got a 2-for-1 special in this corner just a lap ago on Harrison Chandler and Mark Redbetter. Just a amazing passing opportunity that these chicanes bring, these straightaways into tight chicanes bring for these drivers. So definitely this 3-car battle for the race lead should definitely not be anything short of exciting.
Yeah, these guys are all under a blanket right now. About 0.6 of a second is the gap from P1 to P3 right now. Still running the same as these guys got away from the grid. But no, this place is really quintessential for open wheel racing, in my opinion, because there's just a lot of long straightaways and a lot of heavy braking zones. It's especially, it's a top tier track, especially with DRS that we see in Formula 1 today, where guys get to increase or rather reduce the amount of drag they have on the straightaways, and it creates for a lot of brave passing opportunities if you have the bravery for it, into a few deep braking zones, and it's spread throughout the circuit, so you have multiple chances. It's not like a lot of Formula 1 circuits where you're setting up for one place on the track to make an overtake.
On board again with McIntyre, he's only a little ways back into the gap, bottom center of your screen, not so far back at Butticlist, and I'm sure he's going to try and make a move again through 1 and 2. This tight little complex is really a chicane into a sweeper. It's very interesting because the exit of 2 really does feel like a sweeper. It's a gradual exit. You're getting back into the power and having to test the rear grip of the race car. Then you fire down into turns 3 and 4. Your first, I guess, traditional chicane of the circuit is, wow, McIntyre did not get through there very good at all. I'm not so sure what the problem was, but he's side by side with Falkingham now through 5 and down into 6 and 7.
Yeah, Falkingham took to the grass a little bit. Oh, McIntyre, big moment in turn 6. able to keep that car under control, but here comes Falking of a nice run off of turn number 7, and down this short stretch to turn number 8 with the preferred line into the chicane. We'll see if McIntyre can hang tough. Looks like he actually outbreaks Falkingham into 8, now through 9, on our way down to the hairpin.
Yeah, these cars, despite being, third on the IndyCar ladder system, they're not a walk in the park. I'm not too familiar with this version of the Pro Mazda. I've gotten a little bit more seat time in the newer Pro Mazda, but the cars require a pretty delicate touch, but you still get a lot of oversteer on the exit of these corners, as opposed to, and you're able to fight with it, as opposed to the modern Indy cars where you have to be incredibly delicate and precise. Very fun car, and you're seeing, the best guys in the series able to put them to work.
About a little ways further back, this is for 4th and 5th. John Morgan starting to reel in Russ Addy. He's got Victor Valley way behind. Tom Mercier is behind Valley. And then actually another battle a little ways back is Ian Wilson over Langenberg. So things starting to heat up in little tandems throughout the field. But John Morgan actually has just made a bit of a pass on, as soon as I left him, on Russ Addy. There he goes, clears him through 1, and now is going to set sail, try to maybe see if he can put some time down on Daniel Falkingham, who still rides 3rd behind McIntyre, and Putiklis, who's still leading the way. I'm not so sure that McIntyre's going to be able to beat that 666 without a little bit of contact, honestly. And I'm not saying that McIntyre is going to lay a bumper. I'm just saying I think that's what it's going to take if you're going to try and get by Putiklis. I don't know that you're going to be able to unseat that 666 from the lead. He's got the clean air, and he doesn't have to worry about really anything right now. He can defend, and he knows how to defend. We've seen it week in, week out on these road courses. He knows how to get around these places in a Pro Mazda. He does it so well, and that's why he has not made a mistake yet through about half of this race already, and is still leading the way. Granted, these are only 12-lap sprints, but still, Putiklis looking really, really good.
Yeah, no disrespect to Putiklis, but I think if McIntyre had that little kind of fly in the wall right behind of Falkingham, kind of drop back a little bit, let McIntyre kind of focus on Putiklis, I think McIntyre could try to set up Putiklis. He doesn't have like the DRS that, Formula One has, but again, these tight braking zones, he has some great slipstream. He's not falling off. Just one little slip up out of Putiklis, and we could be having a different leader here. I believe this is I was about to say halfway. We actually went past halfway.
The factor I think, Emerson, that's really helping Putiklis in these early stages is the fact that Falkingham is really hounding McIntyre for 2nd position, and we've seen McIntyre as a result bobble a couple times in the last couple laps. So Falkingham's and right there McIntyre put his left side wheels off into the grass, but he's able to keep with it. But this is where he went wrong, I believe, about 2 laps ago, and Falkingham is just continuing to keep the pressure.
Yeah, McIntyre was just looking so sideways a couple of laps ago, but he's since gotten things under control. As Putiklis actually a bit of a shaky entry, it looked like. A little bit shallow, a little bit sideways, but he gets through just fine. Now 4.5 laps to go as they near the hairpin, and that might be the 2nd best passing opportunity, because I think the gold passing opportunity for the race win is going... Sorry, that was not towards the hairpin. I was a set of corners too early. I think really the best passing opportunity for McIntyre to get by Putiklis is going to be off the Casino Straight into that final set of corners right before that little jaunt to the finish. We've seen so many good passes, so many risky passes, so many aggressive passes happen there in countless races. I think to the NASCAR Nationwide Series, that's what I'm used to as far as Montreal. I think to those races, most notably, I want to say Boris Said, I could be wrong, might have been Robbie Gordon, making his pass on Edwards there, and that I think is going to be the best spot to do it. McIntyre was going to try that time, and Putiklis is going to run right through the corner, and that's going to give the lead right to McIntyre. McIntyre scared him into braking way too late, taking a way too shallow entry, and a change for the lead. McIntyre just got the race lead, and he's off into 1.
You know what I think of this? I think that this was, Putiklis, when you're thinking back to McIntyre back at Lime Rock. McIntyre, he was a couple laps off the pace, but he was literally hounding Putiklis, even though they weren't battling for position, and I think that kind of was going on in the back of his mind. A little bit of mind games here. Rivalries don't have to be just, physical beating and banging on these guys. The mental games are just as important here in any racing series.
As you were just describing the process of putting pressure on in these race cars, we did witness Folkingham, despite the fact that he was in the offensive position, he got a little bit loose there through turn 4, and he lost a couple of tenths of a second, and now it's putting Puticlis right back in the slipstream of Folkingham, and they're now split pretty evenly right now. It's about 7 tenths of a second back to Folkingham in second place, and Puticlis, apologies there, he's about 1.5 seconds back from the leader right now. So we head into the hairpin and down the casino straight one more time.
We have a secondary battle brewing a little ways back. It's going to center on Victor Valley. There's 4 cars in a line. Tom Mercier leading the way, then it's Valley, then Russ Addy has fallen all the way back to 7th place after losing that spot to John Morgan a little while ago. Ian Wilson hanging on to the tail end of this thing. You see the black and orange machine a little ways back of Addy. These 4 could have a really, really good battle, a similar battle to what we just saw out of those leaders. It's a matter of whether or not Valley can pressure Mercier into a mistake or Addy can pressure Valley into a mistake. We'll have to see how these guys approach things, considering this is your mid-pack, and you don't want to get too racy here because you're not racing for the win or anything. You're racing for the mid-pack and just some bottom-line points as wow. We see Valley do about the same thing that Puticlis did a lap ago. Goes right through the back end of that last chicane, misses the corner, and gives up a lot of time. Now has to slow down and give that spot up to Russ Addy as a penalty. So Valley drop him back into 7th, and Russ Addy up into 6th. He'll now try and pursue Tom Mercier and get that spot back that he had just a little while ago. Further back, I'm looking for drivers battling. I don't see really anyone. Tyler Langenberg is sitting pretty comfortably in 9th place. He's a little ways ahead of Elijah Grossi, about 3 seconds between the 91 and 14. Mark Redbrenner, another 12 seconds behind them, and the number 10, he's just now rolling through turns 1 and 2. Then it's Harrison Chandler and Justin Ford rounding out your field of drivers still racing. Cole Freilich has parked it for now. Back up to the lead, though, it's McIntyre over Folkingham and Puticlis. Puticlis all over the gearbox of the number 20 into the hairpin, and that could be really what does it for Puticlis. If he cannot get by Folkingham in the next couple of corners, I'm not so sure he can mount the charge then up to the McIntyre without a big mistake out of the 16 car.
Right, it's going to take a lot of pressure, and I think you made a perfect analogy there in that mid-pack. They're not going for the win, they're going for, points and probably kind of in that mid-pack, just kind of seeing what they can do. Is Puticlis goes right on by Folkingham. Folkingham putting up no challenge, just letting him right on by. I think he understands that Puticlis is a little faster, maybe understands the history that between these two. Maybe on the side, he's hoping to get into it a little too much, and, Folkingham maybe squeezes through. We'll see what happens here. With 2 to go, you got SRCA Gilles-Villeneuve.
Interesting to see that from Folkingham, and I think you're on the right track because these two have been going at it very hard here in the early stages of the race. I mean, we're already at 2 laps to go now. But no, McIntyre, now I'm not familiar with the series, but these two seem to be, some of the top competitors in the series. They run 1st and 3rd in the points, and they've been bracing each other pretty aggressively. Because they're side-by-side here into 6 and 7. McIntyre's going to hold on despite the offensive overtaking attempt there by Puticlis as we head now into I'm looking at my track bag. It's turns 8 and 9. My apologies.
So McIntyre is still leading. You can see out the gearbox. Puticlis nears in corner entry, but doesn't quite have the drive off that he needs if he wants to get up there and actually pass McIntyre. So Puticlis just has to set him up a little bit, and we'll see what he does here in the hairpin. Oh, he's going to go for the dive, actually. He makes that pass. Oh, he takes him out! Scott McIntyre just turned in on Aldous Puticlis, and Puticlis is broken. He's not going to be happy about that one. That car looks, yep, it's destroyed. Puticlis is not going to be happy about that.
Oh my goodness. What did I just say about Folkingham is I think McIntyre might have some front wing damage. That car's not going to turn too well. Folkingham to the inside into the chicane. That leads to the wall of champions right there on the left side of your screen. 2 the race lead. 1 lap to go here. SRCA Gilles-Villeneuve.
I'm going to have to say that Folkingham had the optimum strategy there, and it played out for him perfectly. I'm afraid that number 16 machine of McIntyre is also damaged. It was hard to tell there because, I mean, he got out of the hairpin pretty well, but Folkingham, despite the fact that he got a lot of oversteer out of that hairpin, was able to make a pretty easy overtake there into 13 and 14, and now the gap's about half a second in between these two. Absolutely electric to see, and these guys still have one more race here tonight, and they have 12 more laps to go out there and settle it here. McIntyre's going to get a lot of the points with this.
McIntyre and Buttercliff are definitely going to see each other again. You mentioned the points. I'll bring this up real quickly while these two try and finish up their last lap. These are the points coming into this race currently. This is negating any live standings or what we'll have going into the second race of the evening. Buttercliff comes in with a 47-point lead over Harley Lewis, and then it's another 4 points back to Scott McIntyre. I'm not so sure how lively this battle is going to be, but something that will help it will be what we just saw. Buttercliff has dropped all the way to 13th in your standings, and I'm not so sure he's going to get 12th out of it. I think will finish 13th. He saw the last-ditch effort there from Scott McIntyre to maybe have a chance at Falkingham. It's not going to work. He's way too far back, I think, to try a pass, but we'll see what he does into the final set of corners off the casino straight. McIntyre, Falkingham head-to-head for the race win.
See Falkingham breaking the slipstream there and into the final chicane. Looks like Daniel Falkingham will have the strategy that pays right off after a little bit of contact. Daniel Falkingham, how about 3 in a row here in this SRCA Pro F2000 series?
Very impressive of him to be able to pull off 3 in a row, especially at Iowa Speedway where guys were in 10-car packs and that, you know, it was absolutely non-stop relentless action. He was able to hold off the entire competition there. We're watching the battle here for the top 5 here. Victor Valle is going to come out of the last corner there, and he's going to hang on for that P5 position over Ian Wilston. Behind there, we do have a battle for the top 10. Mark Redbenner, is holding on very narrowly from Harrison Chandler there as they head into 13 and 14.
Chandler thought about making a move to the inside, thinks better of it, going to give Redbenner that position, so the number 10 going, no! Redbenner has an issue out of the corner, side-by-side drag race to the start-finish line. We're going to have to wait for scoring to update. Chandler, I think, is going to get it. He does. Chandler by, let's see, 2/100ths of a second gets 10th place over Mark Redbenner. So a photo finish, not for first place, but for 10th on your field. Daniel Falkingham, though, going to be your race winner now for 3 in a row. We'll see if we can't dial some of these guys up. We're going to start, though. We have to talk to Oldest Putchcliff after that. So we're going to start with the bottom of the few that we're going to talk to. Usually we would talk to the top 3. We're going to call an audible right now. We're going to talk to Oldest Putchcliff. I think we have to. For this, I'll turn it over to you, Trey.
You got it. Oh, geez, I'm really struggling here. My apologies. Oldest, is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, Oldest.
Oldest, all right, thank you. So yeah, it was a pretty exciting battle there up until, you know, the incident there in the hairpin. Just what was your perspective on that incident?
It's just simple. Scott just can't bear somebody being faster than him. It just was intentional taking me out. There's no two things about it.
Is that going to change how you approach how you race him here in the second sprint here tonight at SRCA Gilles-Villeneuve?
No, I've never been like salty baby like him, you know. He just can't give up. He's behind in points and he can't stand it, you know. So I don't change my driving style. It's just, you know, if he intends to race like this, I don't think he will be long in this league.
Fair enough. Feeling good about your chances here in the second race tonight?
Yeah, I think so. The speed will be the same, you know, so setup the same. Yeah, I have a chance.
All right, I think that's all I have for you now. Thank you for your time, Oldest. Best of luck here in the second race.
Yeah, thank you.
So Oldest Putchcliff, definitely strong words. That's why we have to talk to him. We've heard some pretty good sound bites out of him in recent weeks. We just have to get his thoughts on that. Definitely good to hear one side of things. I was going to pull in Scott McIntyre. It looks like we don't have Scott McIntyre. So I will look around for who might be the next best. But for now, we're going to go ahead and grab Daniel Falkingham. And Emerson, I'll turn it over to you.
Hey, Daniel Falkingham, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, how does that feel? 3 in a row? Kind of talk to us how you went through it as well. How does that feel?
I'm kind of shocked I managed to go 3 in a row in this series. I mean, granted, 2 of them were on ovals, but it's pretty cool because this is my first win in this series on a road course, so that's pretty cool to do when I really struggled with this car for so many seasons. But yeah, it feels good to win on a road course and whatnot, but I feel like I got that with luck to me there with Scott and Oldest's incident coming to 1 to go. It was like 2 to go in the hairpin. It definitely looked suspicious, but I don't know what happened there. Scott just turned in, and then Oldest just hit Oldest's left rear. I'm not really positive like what went down there, but luckily we missed that incident and we got by Scott coming to the white flag, going to the last lap, and we managed to go on and win the thing. So, and to be able to go 3 in a row is pretty cool. Definitely helps us out in points as well.
All right, so there was a point where Oldest had a missed turn 14, had to slow down to give the time he gained from going off course, and you just let him by the next lap. Did you just understand that he was faster than you? Maybe wanted to let those two hash it out, or was he just that much faster, or what was kind of the thought process there?
I definitely did have a thought process. I knew Oldest was definitely quick, and he was gonna have a big run on me down the straightaway anyway, so I just pulled over, let him go. And I was kind of hoping him and Scott would go at each other, and that's what happened. And I guess Scott got damaged from that, or unless he was just that slow after I passed him. But luckily my thought process worked. They got into each other, and I got back around him, and I won the race somehow. I definitely didn't have a good start to the race. I rolled out of the clutch too slow, and I definitely had a slow start. But luckily we were able to we had a really good race pace. I think this is definitely one of my best executed races in this league so far. We were able to just hang with Oldest and Scott, who are probably like 2 of the best in this series. So definitely cool to run with those guys, and pretty cool to manage to pull off the win.
All right, one more question here. What do you think you can take from this first race and kind of take it into the second race in just a few minutes? What kind of confidence does this give you? What is your plan heading into race 2?
Hopefully do the same thing. I don't know what the track conditions were definitely really slick out there. It was definitely a lot of fun sliding around towards the end of the race when the track was hot and whatnot. But I feel like I'm not sure what the second race is going to bring for us. I don't know, because we're going to have definitely different track conditions probably maybe later on in the day. So definitely track conditions, and it's definitely going to probably make us go faster. So definitely got to keep up with the racetrack, that's for sure.
All right, you have anybody to shout out for your third win in a row here tonight at SRCA Gilles-Villeneuve?
Yeah, I got to thank Elijah for putting on this league. It's definitely been fun being in this league for the last few seasons, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting into the new car once this season is settled and done. And I will say I'm definitely not going to miss these cars, because these cars, honestly, they suck to drive in my opinion, and I somehow won in them, so that's ironic, isn't it? I also got to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast, and thanks to everyone who was watching the race as well.
Right on. Well, congratulations on your race win here, and good luck to you in a few minutes' time for race number 2.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, got to thank Daniel, of course, for his time, and that'll wrap up our post-race coverage of race number 1 on the evening, which means we'll be right back to you here in just a few moments, but not before we go over some race results. We'll go ahead and walk down your, 14 car field. I was going to say your overall race results, but man, there's just so few cars here tonight. We got to get these numbers pumped up for the next season. So if you're looking to join the SRCA Pro F2000 series, definitely you can go through us, and we'll set you up with the right means to talk to the SRCA and join. But the new Pro Mazdas are definitely really fun cars. We need to get more drivers in the field. Regardless, though, Daniel Falkingham, his 3rd straight win. We had that string of 3 wins with Harley Lewis, and they couldn't quite get that 4th done. We might see Daniel get that 4th in just 2 weeks of racing. Scott McIntyre ends up 2nd place after his contact, of course, with Aldous Puticlis. Then it's John Morgan rounding out your podium. Russ Addy ends up 4th, and it's Victor Veli, Ian Wilson, Tyler Langenberg making his first start in the series, Elijah Drew Gracia, and Harrison Chandler rounding out your top 10. You see the back 4, Fred Benner, Ford, Puticlis, and Freilich. Those guys definitely going to try and get up off the bottom of your results. But that will do it for race number 1. We'll, of course, be back here shortly with coverage of race number 2. Don't go anywhere. We're still going to have Emerson Ardon, Trey Shuttlesworth in the booth with me, and we'll be right back here on Pit Stop TV.
got big time problems with that motor, buddy. Hey, just between you and me, the idea is to avoid the other cars. Congratulations! You just set the sport back 30 years with that move. That move will put you in the Hall of Shame. You keep doing stuff like that and we're gonna lose our sponsor. Looks like that's it for us today. Now I know why you got canned by your old team. It's over. We can't fix that damage.
Looks like your car is toast. You'll need to tow back to pit lane, press and hold your reset button, and we'll come and get you.
Welcome back, race fans, to Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve. We're ready for race number 2. 12 more laps coming up in just about 12 more minutes. But first, we've got a driver that we want to talk to. Cole Freilich, do you have a copy? Cole Freilich, do you have a copy?
Oh, there we go. Had the mic muted. Yep.
Well, Cole, we saw kind of what happened there in race number 1. We saw your early exit, and we understand that you're not the happiest.
No, it definitely wasn't. I mean, lap 1, guy sends it up the inside, then drives down 2 lanes into me and nearly killed John, so.
Well, I know you guys had a bit of a post-race powwow. Did that change anything for you, or are you still kind of feel the same way? Feeling the same way?
I definitely feel like I got grooved into. I mean, nothing's going to change that. He took me out on lap 1. No need to really race that hard. I mean, so. Race 2, though, looking pretty quick. I mean, I was like P5 or something, so.
Yeah, currently sitting 5th on the leaderboard, actually right ahead of Victor, who I know you had that contact with. But looking forward to this race that we've got here in, well, about 10 minutes. We've got qualifying still to come. How are you going to try and attack the slight difference in track temperature and ambient temperature and slight different track conditions?
Well, it definitely feels a little bit slicker from race 1. Times are definitely down, though. So track's got a fair amount of grip for how slick it actually is. So I'm looking to put some better lap times down this race. I was thinking I can probably get ahead of Russ maybe, and then just see what happens between Daniel, Scott when he gets back up to the front, and Oldest. So that should be an interesting battle to watch from back behind them. But definitely looking to actually finish this race.
Absolutely. So as we get ready for qualifying, we'll let you go. Who do you have to thank, though? Or I guess shout out as we get ready for race number 2.
I just want to shout out Spencer putting the Elon Musk face on this car. I think it's pretty hilarious. Always like the bright colors that we run, so definitely always makes good paints. Got to thank you guys for broadcasting. Let me join you in the booth most of the season. But yeah, that's about it. So I'm gonna head out and qualify. So see you guys.
All right, thanks, Cole. I'm sure we'll be talking to you later on.
That's the game plan.
So that's Cole Freilich, finishing 14th in race number 1 on the night. Not the run that he wanted to have, obviously, but hey, still got some points for the race and is going to look to have a better outing here in race number 2. So 10 minutes of qualifying. Emerson, who do you think gets the pole out of this one?
Well, this is going to be such a wild pick, but I think Daniel Falkingham, he's been fast. Obviously he just got the race win. He started on pole. He was fastest in this practice. So even with the track change, Falkingham is still, keeping up. But, you know, we'll see what happens. There's still a lot of other competitive cars.
Really fun to see Fulkingham's attempts to get heat and grip into those tires there as he goes through. I believe those are turns 4 and 5. Yes, 4 and 5. Or no, that's actually 6 and 7 that he was going through. But no, regardless, as he takes a run through the grass, I'm kind of liking Oldest perhaps taking the pole. He just seems to have a really consistent pace. Now, Fulkingham did get into the pole in the last race, so I definitely see that as a pretty good pick. I mean, regardless, it's going to be one of 3 people, I think, because the rest of the pack is about a second down from the top 3. But I'll go with Oldest here for this 10-minute open qualifying session.
So to switch on boards then, we'll go up to Oldest Puticus is already down the casino straight into the final set of corners on the brakes. And now, there we go. And he's going to get through that fast chicane. And he's going to come on. Oh, he actually clips the wall. And that's going to be his first run done. Obviously, these guys can go back into the pit lane, reset, get a new car, and head back onto the racetrack. So that's what Oldest will do. But it is worth noting that with Oldest so close into the championship battle, of course, leading coming into tonight, still leading after race number 1. We'll get to that in a moment. The Indianapolis finale for the Pro F2000s has been flexed up a week. It was set for 2 weeks ahead. Oldest had a scheduling conflict, and well, we've actually accommodated Oldest to try and make sure that, of course, the series, well, championship leader, I suppose, makes the final race of the season. So Indianapolis has been moved up to next week. So if you're enjoying what you see, make sure to tune in next week for more SRCA Pro F2000 action, as Oldest Puticus will work to claim a championship. Now, I mentioned the points after race number 1 on the night. Going into the final 2 races of the season, the final race on the evening, though, Oldest Puticus now has a 29-point lead over Scott McIntyre, so that has shrunk quite a bit, actually. In fact, if I pull up our standings coming into tonight, you can see that gap all the way back to Scott McIntyre was actually 51 points. The gap now just 29, so 12 points made up for Scott McIntyre over Oldest Puticus. You have to wonder how close Scott can get if he can have a similar performance. Granted, I think Oldest Puticus almost had that race win in the bag until their contact out of the chicane, or sorry, out of the hairpin, rather in the hairpin. So I'm not so sure what Scott can or can't do. Of course, there's a bit of an asterisk on that big points gain. I don't think it was intentional from Scott McIntyre, but it still affected the race results nonetheless, and the Oldest Puticus finishing 13th in race number 1 is a massive, massive effect on your points battle. So that gap now, again, down to 29 points, as Puticus only gained 6 points. Sorry, he gained quite a few, actually. Regardless, Russ Addy now into 3rd place. So the 2 teammates, McIntyre and Addy, are now 2nd and 3rd behind Puticus. A notable that gained 2 positions from that race alone, Daniel Falkingham, now into 7th place in your point standings. That moves Spencer Madden and Elon Wilson both back 1 position. Justin Ford stays in your top 10. So Emerson, as a new points battle takes form, it's still pretty hard to say that McIntyre will get there, because it requires a really rough race, both in this upcoming event in about 5 minutes and next week at Indianapolis. But I don't think McIntyre is out of this thing just yet.
No, sir. You saw McIntyre. He was up there. I mean, again, it was him, Puticus, and Falky in the top 3 in his last race, in his most recent race just a few minutes ago. So McIntyre's obviously got the speed. He's got the talent. But after the little run-in with Puticus, he needs something of the sort to happen to Puticus again for McIntyre to be a real talking point heading into Indianapolis 1 week from now. Another point, as you mentioned, championship battle, Oldest Puticus. His accident there just a couple minutes ago was actually into the wall of champions, which has definitely caught out, champions of the sort. And Puticus going for one himself. Reasonably named, even the best were able to, were not able to conquer turn 13, like Damon Hill, Michael Schumacher, Jacques Villeneuve, to name a few. Just a very tricky set of corners, and I don't know if we're done seeing drivers catch that wall of champions tonight.
I think that's the beauty of this circuit, is that you look at it, it seems pretty simplistic. You have a lot of corners where you just have to get on the brakes early enough, turn left and right, get through the gears, just be smooth. Nothing too intensive, it doesn't seem. And it seems like you also have a lot of runoff in some places. But then you have, as we just arrived in Victor Valley, like getting off of that corner, I believe that's turn 9. The wall's right there. It's right along the curbing. So if the back end kicks out because of some oversteer, right there, you're potentially risking some suspension damage, even through the exit of the hairpin, and then of course the ball of champions. So that upon first sight, this racetrack, yeah, it looks like it's not that difficult, but it's definitely very treacherous. Nice to see Daniel Folkingham on the top of the board right now. He's up 1/10 of a second on Puticlus right now. Yet to see a time from the likes of Scott McIntyre right now. Or, oh no, John Morgan has taken a time. He also moves up a spot in the points standings. He's up to P5 after his strong performance in the last race, and he's currently sitting on the leaderboard in P3. Whiplash Media's own Victor Valley in P5, and same for Cole Freilich in P6.
There's only one corner here that I feel like gives you a lot of room to run off on exit, and that's the hairpin. We'll have to catch when one of these guys comes around the hairpin next, turn 10. I feel like that's the only place where you really have ample room to kind of run wide on exit. So you can kind of force the issue a little bit, have that room to catch it. But then, obviously, if you go way too far out there, whoever you're trying to pass by that big move to the inside is just going to cross you back up. On board here with Harrison Chandler, we saw him be the first to turn a time. Now he is currently sitting last of the drivers who has taken the time, sitting 10th, 3.181 seconds off of first place, Daniel Falkingham. Puticlus, as you can see on your ticker, sitting second place right now through qualifying. A little more than 2 minutes to go, so just under 8 minutes elapsed. John Morgan sitting third, then it's Russ Addy, Victor Valley, those two not so far apart. Cole Freilich a little ways back of the 06. Then it's Hoffman, Wilson, Breadbender, and Chandler. So as Chandler exits turn 10 here, you'll see what I'm talking about. There's a lot of room to run to the left, and then it narrows back out. So there's initially that big, wide stretch of pavement there, Emerson, but it quickly narrows you back out for the Casino Straight.
Yeah, I think that's just the beauty of the track. First of all, this track is on an island. This is all like natural terrain, but this track was just built to, on the space that it was given. And that being said, there's not a lot of room for runoff except there in that hairpin and right here in the chicane that Falkingham has just gone off in.
So we're looking for someone to ride on board with. So here we have someone we haven't talked about too much tonight, and that's because he wasn't in the first race. But Wolfgang Hoffman will be joining us here for second race of the season. I think he's relatively new to the series. I don't see him on the point standings for the series, but right now he stands on the middle of the leaderboard, and he's within range of a lot of the series' pretty solid talent right now. As he heads down the Casino Straight to, I'm not sure if this is to begin or start his lap here, but regardless, he has to get through this final section here. Does so pretty smoothly, steers pretty clear of that wall, and he's down the front straightaway.
He passes Falkingham, who's sitting in a grid spot, albeit one a lot further back from where he's going to start, because Falkingham is still hanging on to the pole. I think the only driver in a decent position to try and unseat him will be Aldis Puticlus, who we now go to on board, and we're going to have to see if the Latvian can try and unseat number 20 for the pole position. 27 seconds remain. I think these guys will have a little bit of leeway after those 28 seconds. We'll see. Now under 20 seconds, he nears Victor Valley, and that might have just killed Aldis' lap time. Victor's going to have to get out of the way. He does, so we'll see if coming down to the wire, Aldis can set a fastest lap time. I'm not so sure that he's going to get up there for the pole. Now 5 seconds remain. I think he might have enough time, a little bit of leeway afterwards to set a lap. We'll see. And yeah, he has 2 more minutes. So we'll see if Aldis can get up there and set a new fastest lap out of the final couple of corners. And across the stripe here in just a moment, Aldis Puticlus. We'll see if he goes any faster. He does! He goes up to the pole by 6.6 hundredths, 66 one-thousandths of a second. Aldis Puticlus takes the pole, and Daniel Falkingham is sitting by the wayside in the pit lane, not going to be able to say anything about it. Ian Wilson, the last car on the racetrack moving, and he's in the pit lane as well. So Aldis Puticlus just told everybody that this is his race, I think. I think that's the message that was just sent.
Right, Pudiclis, he is racing with a vengeance. You know, he said he's not going to change his driving style, but you know, I cannot see a driver not going out there with like a new motivation after what just happened a few minutes ago. We also in the interview post race with Daniel Falkenham, we heard what happened to him on the initial start of the race is that he said, you know, he messed up himself. He was slow off the clutch, and so what he was doing there, while he was in a grid spot, he was practicing his grid starts. He was going over and over again, you know, down the front straightaway, little by little, to practice his grid starts. And I think that's going to pay some dividends here. Well, obviously, we'll see how he takes off on this grid start. He'll still be on the front row. You know, he'll just be alongside one of the fastest guys in the series.
I think that's one of the absolutely fun things about a grid start as opposed to doing a rolling start, is that it just creates so much more opportunity for mistake. But in the same vein, it also creates a lot of opportunity.
So on board, well, not on board, but watching Falkenham, this is a replay of the back end of qualifying. So watching Falkenham do those start-stops, and you're absolutely correct, Emerson. I would not have picked up on that if not for you mentioning that. You can see he's going to light up those rear tires here in a second. And puts the clutch in, revs it up. Yeah, lights up those rears just a little bit and gets off the line. And I think that's one of the smarter uses of time that I've seen out of any of these drivers in a while. Trying to nail down exactly how to do one of these starts from a stand. So props to Daniel for working to figure out how to get that standing start down. That said, we're going to roll straight into the grid, and we're going to get right on that. Daniel Falkenham gets unseated. Otherwise, your front row remains the exact same. Aldous Pudiclis, Daniel Falkenham switching positions. Pudiclis on pole. Then it's Falkenham in the number 20. Back to row number 2, it's John Morgan and Russ Addy, Emerson.
Yep, in row number 3, we'll have Victor Vallee and Cole Freilich. Row number 4, Ian Wilson, Wolfgang Hoffman. And in row number 5, we'll have Mark Bredbenner and Harrison Chandler. Trey?
Back 2 rows here did not set a time, including Scott McIntyre, who finished second and also, you know, had that controversial incident with Aldous earlier in the night. But yeah, McIntyre's going to line up in 11th. I think he might have been penalized, and that's why he didn't set a time here.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. I think that might be the case. He's going to be alongside Gracia. And then on the final row, row 7, Tyler Langenberg and Justin Ford will round out your field. Gracia, according to timing and scoring, is... Oh, no, he's just not on the grid right now. Everyone is in the session right now.
Well, everybody gridding up, ready to get going. We'll wait on the starting lights. And just waiting to see... Let's see, we got 2 drivers, I think, that have not gridded up. Those are Elijah Gracia and Scott McIntyre, actually. So we'll keep watching the grid and see when those guys pop in. There goes Gracia onto the grid. Now we're waiting on... Bredbenner escaped, and McIntyre's now on the grid. We should go green since Bredbenner was already in the car. We hear the motors fire up, and these guys are ready to go racing.
Green flag, green flag.
We'll light the lights. It is lights out, and away we go. You see the start heading out into turn number 1. Pudiclis, a great start. Falkenham looks like, again, he was slow, but this time he was able to at least hold on to the spot he started in as they go side by side behind. You have John Morgan, Russ Addy, Cole Freilich up into 3rd.
John Morgan had some contact there. I'm not sure who he was alongside, but he got sent there on the entry of turn 2 into the middle of the pack. A couple of people got into him, so I'm not sure if anyone suffered any severe damage or not. We'll see as Morgan comes back down through the track. Crit start for Mark Bredbenner despite his mid-pack starting spot. I believe he would have started at P9. We have a car off there in turns 4 and 5 as well. Tyler Langenberg, after his deep starting spot, he's going to continue to struggle here, and he's going to be pretty well off the pack as we go back up front.
Well, seems like most of the field off and away. Russ Addy was very slow out of turn number 2. That was the car that we were showing very damaged and very slow through 3. Victor Vallee hanging on to that car somehow out of, I think, turn 7. Might have been turn 9. Yeah, that was turn 9, actually. Already they're into the hairpin. And, ooh, a big bomb, a dive bomb, rather, from Wolfgang Hoffman. I don't think that was intentional, just a little bit late on the brakes. Got that car squirrely. He shoots up the inside of Vallee. Now, Aldous Pudiclis is off and away with a 3-second gap over Falkenham, who is now already falling into the clutches of Cole Freilich. So a 4-car battle here for 2nd through 5th place.
Yeah, you don't want to count out Cole Freilich. You know, it was an opening lap incident, took him out of contention in race number 1 here tonight. But race number 2, just like Pudiclis, he's racing with a vengeance. You know, he didn't even get his opportunity to really show what he could do here at SRCA Gilles-Villeneuve. And here he is, sat fair, looking to chase down Falkingham. You know, kind of break Falkingham's little streak in wins, and then try to see what he can do to try to get Pudiclis. But Pudiclis is off and away, just under 3 seconds now, his gap to Falkingham.
So he did an excellent job of getting his tires fired up there. I'm not sure if these cars are on the newer iRacing tire model, which, you know, simulates cold tires a lot better than the previous tire model. But regardless, he got off the line really well with an excellent reaction time. Oh, and we have another car off there. That is Harrison Chandler, unfortunately. Oh, it looks like he might have suspension damage as well. It looks like he's probably going to have to tow there. So that's going to be the end of the day there for Chandler, as it looks like he just missed his braking zone, but continued to try to turn in. And then, of course, this circuit is just absolutely punishing right now. 2nd through 5th continues to stay pretty tight right now, as Falkingham has closed the gap a couple of tenths, there on leader Oldest Pudiclis.
So I'm going to see if I can find that incident with everybody in turn 1. It's going to be pretty tough to do so, but I'm going to try.
John Morgan was the car that got sent around, I believe, in turn 1 and 2 on lap 1.
So we're going to try and do it this way, because I'm very curious as to what happens here on this start, and I'll even do this. There we go. So this is going to be the start of the race with everybody, and we're going to go to John Morgan if I can find him. There we go. Morgan alongside with Addy, and that's where the contact comes from. Addy catches Morgan and puts him up and into the air, and then the field scatters behind. We'll get a replay on this. This is the start, keep in mind. So watch the black and yellow machine of Russ Addy and the black and red machine of John Morgan. There's the contact. Morgan actually did drive into the corner, tried to turn in over Russ Addy. That's where it all starts. You see Freilich dodge it. Valley has nowhere to go. He gets a little bit of damage and hits the 177 of Morgan. Scott McIntyre gets hit further back. For the most part, though, I think that was all the damage that was done. I think everybody else got through relatively cleanly, but that really hurt Addy's machine, and he now sits 11th place.
Yeah, turns 1 and 2 here. It's just such a tight complex. Basically, it is, as we've alluded to, it's a chicane of a sweep. It's very tough, you know, especially in heavy traffic right off the grid. And, you know, it's just, you know, very hard, you know, to keep it off one another. And, you know, it can provide, you know, incidents like so, you know.
Yes, sir. Just a quick update on the battle for the lead there, as we took a look at the replay of that lap 1 incident. Daniel Falkingham is continuing to consistently close the gap. So it's a short race, so it's going to be tough to tell if he's going to have the time to get back up there, but I think once he gets in the slipstream, he'll be okay. It's just a matter of getting into that slipstream. So Cole Freilich, as you said, Everson, the man's on a vengeance. He's right now P3 on the podium. He's up a total of 4 spots already as we ride on board of that Haas F1 inspired livery there with Daniel Falkingham. He's chasing down the leader pretty consistently right now, it looks like.
Yeah, the sun definitely peeking into driver's eyes at a 2, then into 3. And that's going to mess with these guys a little bit. Being the sim, you know, they're looking at a screen still. It's not going to hurt these guys too badly, but if anybody's in VR, it can definitely mess with you. And even on a screen, it can sometimes just, the glare will definitely hide certain references and can get in the way of trying to make, you know, hit your points, hit your marks. So we'll see if it affects anybody. I don't think it really will, but definitely you can see if they turn HDR on in the sim, it definitely makes a difference. You definitely have some serious glare. We're going to stay on board with some of these drivers as they try to work through that. Now, we talk about that a lot in, you know, real racing, of course. Most notably, I think, in NASCAR and IndyCar, where you have a lot of that day-to-night transition. Sometimes even in sports car endurance racing. Not so much in low-level open-wheel racing. You don't usually have that kind of thing where you're running into the night. Granted, we're not going to be running into the night in this race, but still, dealing with that sunset is going to possibly mess some of these guys up. Just a few references. It shouldn't be too bad being on a simulator.
Yeah, I like that. You know, it adds like an uncommon twist. Like you said, most of these lower level open wheel series, they're sprint races, you know, to 20, 30 minutes, maybe an hour if, you know, they're like, quote, more endurance on the endurance side of these lower level open wheel series. But Falkenham, look at that fastest lap, a 1:34.753. He's a man on a mission. Somebody better tell Otis to pick up the pace, or he's gonna have some trouble here in a couple laps.
Picks up over a second on that lap. Just to talk just a little bit more about the sun glare. The only thing that's a bit of a discrepancy between real life and that pretty, you know, I'd say realistic sun glare in a lot of for the most part is just the fact that you're not able to put up your arm to block the sun glare as you'd be able to in real life. Even in virtual reality, the technology is just not there to be able to mimic where your arms are and to be able to block that sun glare.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Daniel hops a curb. He hangs on to things. We'll see if that gives him a time penalty on iRacing, considering he did hop the curb and technically cut the corner by just a little bit. I don't think it's going to give him that time penalty, thankfully, because I want to see this battle come to fruition. I want to see these guys near each other and have a really good race for the win. And we talked about all that drama in race number 1 with Scott McIntyre, of course, continuing the saga between Puticlis and McIntyre. McIntyre currently rides in the 12th position, so we saw Russ Addy and McIntyre doing so great in race number 1, and those two usually mirror each other. They're mirroring each other now as well. Russ Addy in 11th after his turn 1 troubles, Scott McIntyre in 12th, and he has had a pit stop not so long ago, so I think there was some kind of issue for McIntyre. Not sure what. We'll see if maybe we can look back at it at some point later on. But the front wing is damaged again even. The number 16 not having a great follow-up to his second place finish. And of course he had that big set of contact in turn number 10, the hairpin in the first race with Aldous Puticlis. So controversial. Puticlis was not happy about it, of course. As you know, he powered away to hang on to the lead for a moment, but Falkenham got by the damaged number 16 for the win.
Yeah, you know, aerodynamics, they are so important in these open wheel cars. You see these front wings, they're designed in a certain way, you know, kind of like direct the airflow that would most benefit a certain part of the race car. And, you know, that brings, you know, to mind DRS and Formula One, you know, how, you know, deeper in traffic, they have the ability to use DRS to try to kind of like, compensate for, you know, the time lost in dirty air behind other cars. But here, you know, there's not that much of an issue, and slipstream could start to become a factor here with just a second, the gap between Puticlis and Falkenham. Falkenham has not been gaining as much as he did. Granted, he did gain 2/10 that previous lap. We'll see what happens here down to Casino Straight. Slipstream will start to become a factor. It's under a second now as they head into the final chicane by the Wall of Champions.
Focusing on a couple of battles further back here, Victor Valley just got passed back by Cole Freilich, who now has some rear wing damage. You have to wonder what happened with this battle a little while ago. Freilich had, you can see the 51 where you shouldn't usually see it on that rear wing. Valley going to make the pass back, or move almost. Yep, he makes the move into 1. Doesn't quite get there, but he's looking to the inside of Freilich to make that pass. Wolfgang Hoffman all over Valley. These three are going to be racing here for a while. We're going to keep an eye on that battle for the race lead, but it's not sparked up just yet. This is a whole lot closer with these three cars running for 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
You know what I think happened? I think maybe Valley ran into the back of Freilich.
I was thinking the same.
That's so, like, weird, because it would have given so much more wing damage to Valley, but looks like Valley really, I mean, you can see the front wings went a little bit, but not enough. Valley has a great run heading down to turn number 7.
You know, when you have all that damage in the rear wing like that, it's just going to make that hole in the air that you punch, it's just going to make it that much bigger for guys like Valley and Huffman right now. It's going to make it so easy to slipstream other straightaways, and going to make it incredibly easy for them to be able to create overtaking opportunities. I think he's, a little bit of oversteer for both of those guys, but I think Valley might have a run here as we head into turns 13 and 14.
So the battle nearing once more down the Casino Straight. You mentioned Valley having a bigger hole in the air to try and work with. He gets a big draft into the first part of the chicane. Freilich moves over. Valley says, nope, I'm going to the inside anyways. Can he make it? Oh my gosh, that was so close out of these two drivers. Oh, and he almost right rears him. He says he's coming through and is not taking no for an answer. Now Hoffman makes it 3 wide across the start-finish line. Freilich moves over a bit on Valley to say no, didn't appreciate that. 3 wide into turn 1. Do any of them make contact? No, not yet. This is great stuff out of these three. Freilich crosses him over. He looks to the right side of Valley. The two for the lead are narrowing each other. We're going to stay with this for just a moment. Valley makes the pass for now over Freilich. Now he's going to give it squirrely. Oh, and he takes them both out. They are not happy with each other.
Victor Valley does take full apologies for that one, and Freilich is very obviously upset, but Valley's going to try to bring it back down pit road.
That is the intense racing that SRCA Gilles-Villeneuve can provide. They went side by side through that final chicane and in 1 and 2.
And we've got a battle for the lead.
3 times around.
Falkingham crosses up Puticlis, he gets the exit, and now we've had a change for the race lead. Falkingham crosses up Aldous Puticlis for the lead, now coming to 4 laps to go. The number 20 back into the lead. I've said lead a lot in the last few seconds. Now, Aldous Puticlis back to the high side. He's going to try and work around the outside through this first part of the chicane, turn 13, but he'll have the inside for 14 and get the big run up out of the corner. He crosses him up, or sorry, I shouldn't say cross him up, but he clears him up out of turn 14. Puticlis back into P1.
Falkingham is coming back with that slipstream. We'll see a replay of that last battle we just watched, but Falkingham thinks better of it. He'll ride here in 1 and 2. We'll see what he can set up down to short shoot to turn number 3. Puticlis going wider there on the exit, trying to get everything he can on exit. Falkingham there, kind of biding his time and putting that little seed mentally in Puticlis's mind, like, I'm here and I'm serious.
You know, he's been knocking on the door since the start of the race. Sure, Puticlis opened up with that 3-second gap, but Falkingham's just been consistently chopping away at it, little bit by little bit. And right now, I mean, he was already in the lead 1 lap ago as we cut back to the leaders after that drama for the last podium position. Just clear things up there. Wolfgang Huffman right now is clear by over 6 seconds for that P3 position. So right now, the battle is for the lead as we head down into the hairpin. Don't expect an overtaking attempt here from Falkingham as we head into the hairpin. I'm going to say that he's going to go for it down the casino straight one more time.
Yeah, Falkingham would be trying to get a slow entry here to get a great exit down the casino straight.
We have had an issue for Tyler Langenberg. Not sure what happened to the driver of the 91, but he has did tow, or at least come down the pit lane something. And he has given up a lot of time, a lot of positions. Falkingham, though, he looked to the inside, then he checked up, and he almost lost his car down a straightaway. Imagine how embarrassing that would have felt for the driver of the number 20 out of Maine. And the Jonesport Maine driver going to try and maybe make a move here into 1. He is going to look to the inside, rather. Will he back out? No, he's there. He's looking to pass for the race lead. Falkingham goes through, clears Puticlis. Now Puticlis going to try and fight back. Can't do it just yet. So Falkingham back into the race lead. The Jonesport Maine driver not so far out of possibly his second win in Montreal, Canada. Not too far from Maine, a little ways out. But I guess this would be a bit of a home race for the driver.
Just a little bit. Falkingham very much in control. We'll see if he can start to open up that same gap that he just had to chase down Puticlis with. You know, coming around to 2 laps remaining here at SRCA Gilles-Villeneuve, it'll be interesting to see if Puticlis will be able to keep toe-to-toe with Falkingham.
I haven't seen too much of that today, but Falkingham actually making attempts down the straightaway to try to break the draft wake between him and Puticlis. So you'll see him here down the straightaway. He'll veer outside of what is the preferred racing line up until he gets to the braking zone. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to break that consistent draft wake and make it harder for Puticlis to gain time in a straight line before we get down into the braking zones. So now we're going to head down to the casino straight, and we're going to be looking at 2 laps to go here. And I think Puticlis is going to have a pretty good run as we head down into this final chicane.
Down the casino straight, Puticlis in the draft this time. And Puticlis wants nothing more than, I think, just to get a bit of redemption for race number 1. Of course, it wasn't anything he did wrong. He made a pass on Scott McIntyre and got right-reared. Yeah, no, that'd be left-reared, actually, as Scott just tried to turn in and turn in behind him. I think it was an honest mistake from Scott McIntyre, but the Latvian definitely not happy about it and voiced his displeasure when we talked to him post-race. So Puticlis going to try and make up for that issue, I guess you could say, in race number 1. Wants to get back ahead of Falkingham, runs into the grass just a little bit of extra cooling on the tires, I'll say. Into turn 3, these guys now about 1 3/4 of a lap to go, as Putka is going to try and set the Jonesport main. I'm going to keep saying it because I love that he's a main driver. He's one of the few, I think, on iRacing, at least in the SRCA, out of Maine, and I definitely have an affinity towards Maine racing. For that, I want Falkingham to win, but also I want to see Putka get up there and redeem himself from race number 1 and show that he can win one of these things. It's been a little while since Putka has won, and it would actually tie Falkingham for 3 wins on the season, down towards what should be turns 8 and 9. They're almost on each other's, well, gearbox and nose. Falkingham a little bit wide through. Sorry, no, that was the hairpin. That was 10. I'm getting all mixed up. There's so many just chicanes back to back to back. I still lose track of where I'm at, even when I'm trying to drive a race car around this place. Down the Casino Straight for the penultimate time. Falkingham still has the lead, about 5 car lengths on oldest Putka.
So what this track definitely does is it definitely rewards well-handling race cars. You can see Falkingham is not as... It looks like Putka is really fighting the understeer and corner exit in these very slow and tight corners. He's only able to redeem himself with the slipstream, which he has a great one down the front straightaway here into turn number 1. Falkingham defends to the inside and through Virage Senna, holds on to the race lead for the time being, but Falkingham going wide.
There it is!
Mirror of what happened last lap to Putka. Putka up the inside and clears into turn number 3.
One more circuit to break here around Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve, and Putka is back in the driver's seat right now. He holds about 3 or 4 car lengths here as we head into this final chicane before another long back straightaway, one of 2 back straightaways as a matter of fact. I don't think Falkingham's out of it, but he's not doing himself any favors by going off track like that, but in the least, he did save a car that was very oversteery. We head down here into this heavy braking zone. He's looking to the inside.
He thought better of it, back out of it, got on the brakes when he needed to. He has only 2 options now, turns 10 and turn 13. I'm not so sure if he can do it down to the hairpin this time. We'll see if he even looks. He's a little ways back. He's not going to be able to do it right there. So it's not going to come in the hairpin as he nears the gearbox of the 666. Oh, Aldous over-rotates. It's a little bit slidey. That's going to open up the passing opportunity for Daniel Falkingham, and Aldous knows it too. He's swerving to break the draft, but he has to make sure not to change up his line. He has to take the line he wants here. Yep, they go side by side now. He can't mess around, can't try to block into turn 13. Falkingham has the advantage. Putka crosses him back up. Falkingham going to try and sit back. Maybe contact. They're going to drag race to the start-finish line, and it's going to be... Putka leads, and I think he's going to get it. No, Falkingham across the line. No, it goes back. It's Putka.
0.002 of a second there for Falkingham.
Oh my gosh, and that's even closer than Iowa.
I don't understand. Falkingham, 3 out of the 4 last races involved in a very close finish. This time on the losing end. It's not 4 in a row. Putka by 2/1000ths of a second. And what did we say at the top of the broadcast? This circuit will not fail to disappoint, and boy, it did not. What a redemption victory for oldest Putka.
This is the replay across the line, and you're going to see just how close it is there. And I'm going to see if we have another camera angle that shows it a little better. I'm not so sure we will. Unfortunately, just the start-finish line, not a great spot for getting a replay of a finish. We're going to see if we can get a better look at it, but that was just so close out of these 2 drivers.
I think Emerson hit the nail on the head there. Absolute redemption arc here in under 2 hours here. The lowest of lows, they're in race 1 for Putka, but he's going to come back here, and he's going to edge one of the best drivers here in the series here by 0.002 of a second, just proving that the reason that he is the series points leader here, and he's going to head in with a very comfortable margin to the final race of the season at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
You can see how close it was coming up to the start-finish line. We'll try and set up a better camera. We'll take a bit of a break, and we'll come right back to you with post-race coverage here from Montreal. Try and get a better look at it, because none of these were actually a very good shot. So we'll be right back here in just a few moments with post-race coverage. Show the replay one more time as these 2 drag raced to the start-finish. It was oh so close, And right here, we'll watch it one more time. Aldous Puticlus narrowly edging out Falkingham. Falkingham had the lead for a slight second, and that put him back up to the top of the running order across the line, but Falkingham just didn't quite have it when they came up to the line and scored across the line. Puticlus edges him out. Again, 2/1000ths of a second. To put that into perspective, we had 2 photo finishes with Falkingham at Iowa 2 weeks ago. The margin of victory here at Montreal in this second race, little over a quarter of the margin of victory at Iowa both times. So it doesn't get any closer than that. We'll be right back here at Montreal with post-race coverage on Pit Stop TV. This is the SRCA Pro F2000 Series. Don't go anywhere.
We got big time problems with that motor, buddy. Hey, just between you and me, the idea is to avoid the other cars. Congratulations! You just set the sport back 30 years with that move. That move will put you in the Hall of Shame. You keep doing stuff like that and we're going to lose our sponsor. Looks like that's it for us today.
Welcome back, race fans, to post-race coverage now of Montreal. We just saw a thrilling finish for race number 2. We're going to watch it over again. This is so close, 2/1000ths of a second. So this is everything setting up to the finish, where Falkingham is getting that run on the number 666 of Puticlus. He edges ahead into the chicane, and then Puticlus says, nope, I'm taking it right back. Overshoots the exit and gives it back to Falkingham. This is where we'll join them with a new camera angle to show, hopefully, this finish decently well. This is going to be across the start-finish line. So close between these two. This is the pinnacle of good racing in these Pro Mazdas. We'll slow it down even more. And this is the margin at the start-finish line. It doesn't get any closer than that, and so we're going to talk to race winner Aldis Putiklis. Aldis, do you have a copy?
Yes, I do, mate.
Aldis, it doesn't get any better than that between you and Daniel Falkingham, and you redeem yourself from race number 1. Granted, it was no fault of your own.
Oh, this was amazing. I think this was one of the best races of the season. You know, especially knowing Daniel's record of finishing, you know, I was a bit worried, but this was absolutely amazing. He drove like a champ.
He had 2 photo finishes for wins at Iowa a couple of weeks ago. Ended up the beneficiary of your issue with Scott in race number 1, and was so close to making it 4 races in a row, but you deny him here in the final moments. How does it feel to be a winner once again, though?
Yeah, it's amazing. This is amazing, you know. This race was bloody brilliant. You know, we both made some mistakes because we were both pushing to the limit, basically. And yeah, when on that last hairpin, I overdrove it a bit, so I thought he got me there. But the finish was absolutely brilliant.
So we're going to watch it one more time here on the broadcast. It's just so close between you guys. Daniel's used to photo finishes apparently, but usually when we have one of these road course races to the end, usually things get strung out. Usually we have that pit stop as well. But with these sprint races, how do you feel like things have changed up a bit? Obviously the pit stop out the window and you guys are just racing straight up for 12 laps.
Yeah, I don't mind that pit stop. It makes it more interesting sometimes. You know, you can play a bit strategy as well. But, you know, to finish on a road course now with 2 1000s, I think we even beat the Iowa record. So
Yep.
This is even closer. And after this, in this track, the last chicane, that wall of champions, it's really tough to make it, you know, and to make it count as well. At the end, this was bloody brilliant.
Well, looking forward to the season finale in just a week's time. Usually we have 2 weeks between each series racing again, but I understand you're moving to Germany soon, so we're racing Indianapolis next week. Tell us about your outlook on Indianapolis and also a bit about your move to Germany.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, you know, to finish off the season as well, and I like that track, and it will be, I think, first half of the race survival and the last half to, you know, to try to go to the, you know, to the spike. Well, yeah, we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, I couldn't make it if it would be 2 weeks now to the next race, because my flight is on 24th, and I think the race would have been on 24th. But that would be a bit weird for me not to be on the last race, so Elijah was quite happy to move it.
Yeah, definitely. We want to have you racing for your championship. Now, it's going to be a decently wide margin. In fact, I'll refresh the point standings on my end and see if we can get an... Yep, we have an updated point total. So you have a 60-point margin over Scott McIntyre going into Indianapolis. I think it's all but decided for you. I believe you'll be our champion, barring anything really weird. Does it feel pretty good to get that championship?
Oh, definitely, yes. So this is the second in a row, so defended it, so I'm quite happy about it. Yeah, so that next race doesn't really matter anymore because I think it's sealed already. But yeah, I still want to do it, still want to be till the end in the season.
Well, before I let you go, I have one more question. I promise I'll stop taking up your time after this. Looking forward to the new car next season. What's your just general outlook as a driver, and how do you think the series is going to progress in making that change of cars?
I've been doing this week already the new car a bit in the officials. I quite like it. It's more alive, and it changes over the race as well. You can lose the tires a bit more and stuff like that. So yeah, it's more of a driver's car. So it will be definitely interesting.
Well, Aldis, thank you so much for your time. I know it ran a bit long, but appreciate you giving us all that great outlook on things, and we can't wait to see you out here in Indianapolis in just a week's time. officially claiming your championship. Congratulations on it, though.
Thanks, guys. That was fun.
So Aldis Puticlis wraps up his championship with a big win tonight. Well, I should say a small win by just 2/1000ths of a second over Daniel Falkingham. And in fact, we have second place sitting by the wayside. Emerson, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, well, we meet again. Daniel Falkham, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, it's not the top spot on the podium, but a second place. Kind of walk us how that finish transpired, and then kind of what you're feeling through that final lap.
Well, yeah. Overall, we had another good race. First, at the start of the race, I thought for sure I had pole, and then all this, I guess, got me at the last second, and I had another terrible start. I definitely got to work on my starts for next season, especially if we can show speed like we did, especially these last few weeks and whatnot. But I had a little incident on the first lap. I lost 3 seconds because I had a corner cut penalty. Had to serve that, and then we somehow managed to run all this back down from 3 seconds back, which is pretty impressive. And then it was just a draft fest from here on out, and we managed to get by him. And then with 2 to go is where all my mistakes started to begin. Corner before the hairpin, I had a little slip up, and that got all this right back to me. I had definitely had like nearly a second lead on him. Excuse me, that definitely helped me. And then going into turn 1 on the last lap, just trying to be defensive, I kind of overdrove it, and I slipped up on the exit, and he got back by me, which honestly I didn't mind it, because as long as I was within his draft, within a close proximity of him, I still had a good shot to get him at the end of the lap. And going into the final chicane at the end of the race, I thought he drove it in deep, so I let him go and try to go, slow in, fast out. And I feel like I could have side drafted him a little bit, and I think I could have beat him back to the line, but I want to try to pull away from him, see if that would work, but I think that honestly cost me time. But overall, I'm not mad. That was an awesome race. These last few weeks we've had, it has been amazing. Definitely getting some good results. Too bad I couldn't do a lot more races, or we'd definitely be up there in points. But I'm definitely having a lot of fun these last few weeks, and hopefully we can carry this momentum to Indy next week.
Right on. Yeah, I was about to say, so it was almost 4 in a row, but you were 2 1,000ths away from 4 in a row. What does that just kind of say about you and what you've been able to do this season? And if you were able to run the whole season, what kind of spot would you be in for, a championship heading into next week? Just a theoretical question.
Well, I know that I'm always somehow involved in close finishes, so I got that going for me. And also, just definitely at the start, also just me and this car are not a happy couple. I've never liked driving this car because it's just how we to drive. But I've definitely gotten better with it, but I'm honestly not going to miss it when we go to the new car next season. So I'm definitely looking forward to driving the new car, but I should be able to do a lot of races with the new car too. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. Definitely going to have a lot of fun, especially with more horsepower, and it actually drives like a pretty nice Formula race car. So I'm definitely looking forward to next season. Hopefully we can show some promise there, but right now we're going to look forward to hopefully close out the season at Indy, another oval. Hopefully we can do the same thing that we did at Iowa.
Right on. We got to think of a nickname for you. Maybe like something like Ma, get the camera, because Falkingham is racing for the race win up here. Because all these photo finishes, my goodness. You have anybody to shout out for your runs today? It was almost 2 victories, but some great runs nonetheless. Anybody to shout out?
Yeah, I got to thank Elijah for putting on the league, as always. Definitely fun to be in this league for the last few seasons. And like I said, I really look forward to the new car. Also got to thank you guys for running the broadcast. And thanks to everyone who's watching. Definitely felt good to run good the last few weeks. And definitely glad to show some promise. And hopefully we can close the season out on a high note.
Right on. Well, congratulations on great runs tonight. And good luck to you in 1 week's time from today at Indianapolis.
Appreciate it.
And so that was Daniel Falkingham, your second place finisher. Of course, appreciate him for spending some time with us. We do have one more driver to talk to, though. He didn't finish on podium. He ended up finishing, it looks like, 12th place. It's Victor Valley, and I'll turn it over to Trey Shuttlesworth with Victor.
Victor Valley, you have a copy?
I do.
All right, thanks for your time here, Victor. So it was a rough race for you. You had a lot of potential, pretty strong qualifying run, but there was that incident there in turns 4 and 5. Would you be able to break down what happened there?
Honestly, I just screwed up. I saw his nose coming on the inside. I wanted to give him room. I ran it a little bit wide. hit the curb on the left side, and that threw the car off, and I tried to correct back to just save it from spinning. The car caught and powered into the wall, and unfortunately Cole was there. I'd rather take myself out than him because he was having a good run too, so, you know, it's just one of those racing deals, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was unfortunate to see. It's a pretty technical section of the course. I mean, we saw it in the 2019 Formula 1 Grand Prix there when Vettel went off and almost came back into Lewis Hamilton. But, so I was looking at the point standings and saw that this was only your third race, I believe, the second round here tonight. What are your thoughts here on the car and track combo?
You know, this is the first time I've driven Montreal in any kind of capacity. I mean, probably outside of maybe like a couple Automobilista races. But, you know, it's a good track, good car. It's hard to get a handle on the car, but once I figured it out, it was pretty good.
Are you looking forward to the new Pro Mazda that just got introduced with last week's update?
Yeah.
Seems to be pretty fun in terms of drivability.
Yeah, I think that might be a step up for me. That might be something that I can actually show a little bit more potential with, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Have you have you found any combination of that car and track in particular that you might be looking forward to in this series next year?
I haven't looked at the schedule, but hopefully we bring that car to possibly a track like Lucas Oil Raceway or something, because I think that'd be a really fun challenge with those cars.
No, I think you have a good point there. It'd be definitely pretty fun to see cars, these cars at a place where you can't go flat out, and then, you know, similar to a stock car, you'd have to get out of the throttle and, you know, try to get some, extra tense out of the car.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I'm looking forward to next week, since they're moving it up. The finale with Indianapolis is going to be the Freedom 100 next week with the Pro Mazda cars. I'm really looking forward to that with Elijah and everybody over at the SRCA group here, you know?
Yeah, Victor, knowing that you're a pretty big open wheel fan, I'm sure you've watched a lot of Freedom 100s. Can you take any notes from that event and apply them to this mock Freedom 100, even if it's not the same car?
Yeah, the only thing I could really take from it, I mean, obviously stay near the bottom, and then also try not to be first on a final lap, because obviously we've seen in the past, history does not tend to be very favorable towards the guy who's leading coming to the last lap, and coming to the checker, they typically don't win the race. It's always the guy in second or third.
That is definitely a pretty good point. Just, yeah, historically looking at most of the Freedom 100s. So that's about all I have for you. Are there any sponsors or anyone you'd like to thank out there?
I'd like to thank you guys. You know, obviously, it's not easy broadcasting a race or producing a race or any of that. So I gotta thank you guys. I gotta thank Elijah for putting this all on and being the admin tonight. I don't know if Nate Stewart was here tonight to be the eye in the sky, but if he was, gotta thank him for hanging out with us and taking some time out of his night to try to officiate this chaotic race that we have.
Yeah, this series does pack quite the punch, despite the fact that there's only about a dozen cars out here tonight. Thank you for your time, Victor. Hope to see you next week at Indianapolis.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be there.
So that's Victor Vallée coming in 12th place tonight. And again, got to thank the drivers for giving us their thoughts on things. Definitely always fun to talk to them. But guys, we just witnessed some really chaotic, really good racing here from Montreal. First thing I want to do is roll through your race results. So, of course, we've covered it a lot by now. Winning the race is Aldous Putniclis. Second place, Daniel Falkingham. Just 2 1,000ths between those two. And then 21.5 seconds back to Wolfgang Hoffman for third place. Elijah Gracia in fourth, 27.6 seconds back. Ian Wilson comes in fifth.
Sat in the sixth position. How about Russ Addy? Just able to beat out Mark Bredbender, who ended up finishing in seventh. Justin Ford P8. Scott McIntyre not able to recover from the back of the grid starting position. Only made it up to P number 9. John Morgan sat P10.
So now we're going to look at some guys that definitely did not have the most fortunate races there to round out the night. So we're going to start off with Tyler Langenberg. He's the last car in the lead lap. And then we just talked to Victor Vallée. He's going to be the first car lap down in 12th. Harrison Chandler, I believe we caught him having some incidents earlier in the race. Unfortunately, he'll finish 13th a lap down. And then Cole Freilich, for the second time tonight, he's going to have a DNF. He finishes last place, 3 laps down.
Well, closing thoughts as we head into Indianapolis next week?
It's gonna be an absolute amazing show, because it doesn't matter if it's an oval or one of these circuit races, we always end up with some sort of amazing finish. You can't write this, man. I know the races are short, so the field is still compact, but 35 laps at Indy, there's obviously going to be full course cautions. That's at an oval, and it's going to be it's going to be one hell of a show.
You know, sometimes having a virtual environment, it just makes it a lot more entertaining to watch, just because these guys don't have the consequence of, you know, putting their lives at risk or putting their really expensive equipment at risk. So I think we're going to see you guys go all out over the course of, I'm not sure if it's 35 or 40 laps yet. If it's a full 100 miles, I think it'll be 40 laps, but regardless, it's going to be quite the show, and I'm expecting a larger grid considering it's the concluding race of the season. A lot of people tend to own Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and it's normally a good show in these low horsepower open wheel cars.
Absolutely. So that'll wrap things up tonight. We do want to show this battle here in the background, though. This was Brett Benner and Addy coming to the start-finish line. However, that will conclude our coverage tonight of the SRCA Pro F2000 Series at Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve. Pit Stop TV thanks you for tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast. Join us again next Wednesday evening when the Sodak iRacing Sprint Car Series visits Lanier to wrap up their season. You can also join us again in a week's time with the conclusion of the SRCA Pro F2000 Series season at Indianapolis. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/pitstoptv, on Twitter at pitstoptv_, on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV, and on YouTube by searching Pitstop TV. This has been Emerson Ardon and Trey Shuttlesworth with me in the booth tonight. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV for Pit Stop TV, and we will see you next time. Have a great night.